Definitely, if you really want to go from the full-time to SEO freelancing and get your own SEO clients, you need to start thinking differently because the skills that you already have are not enough for the business journey that you're starting. I'm Adrijana Vujadin, and this is SEO in 2026.
Adriana, what's your number one SEO tip for 2026?
Having high-paying SEO clients definitely requires a different approach than a lot of SEOs talk about.
A different approach. So why do you require a different approach, and what is that different approach?
Yeah, because the thing when we really want to move from full-time SEO to the freelancing SEO or like get our own clients on the side, we are not thinking that is a completely new skill that we have already. We have already SEO experience, we have already SEO knowledge, we have everything that is aligned with SEO. But when we want to get a client, that is a business skill, like that we haven't used to develop that skill towards, like our school, our college, or like when we were as a full-time SEO. And then a lot of people and SEOs are trying to get their SEO clients in the same way they got like full-time job or something like that. But like we are not thinking that like, hey, this is completely new thing, is a business skill, is a gap between my SEO where I am now and the goal what I want to achieve. The goal is I want to have a high-paying SEO client, but that is something that we will acquire differently than we are doing currently. And even like when we are mentioning branding, when we are mentioning negotiation skills, like sales skills, like we are not feeling comfortable with these skills because, like we are SEOs, we are not salespeople. So the most challenge that I'm seeing that people are doing different things on LinkedIn, expecting that they will get the SEO client, but they are just like repeating the skills and knowledge that they already have. And that is not working. And you can see that it's not working if you're not getting the high-paying clients that you really want.
So you shared a few things with me beforehand, such as SEOs share SEO knowledge online, they add other SEOs in their connections, they go to SEO events. Are you saying that it's wrong for SEOs to share their SEO knowledge online and go to SEO events?
Yes, because if you want to get the SEO client is usually another business owner, is not SEO consultant. And what we are doing, especially on LinkedIn, we are sharing our SEO knowledge in terms of algorithm updates, what's happening, how to rank for specific content or something like that. But all these things are SEO terms. And on another side, you have a business owner who doesn't understand our SEO terms. So instead of just sharing SEO knowledge, we need to talk business language that business owners are understanding.
So what would be an example of that business language to share on LinkedIn that's more likely to resonate with our target audience?
Okay. So usually I'm seeing the LinkedIn post like, hey, if you want to rank, of course, like I'm just like making this up. If you want to rank, like your website on the first Google's like page, you need to do this. And then like you are proposing content strategy, you're proposing technical audit, you're proposing SEO strategy. But what we are missing here? We are missing business language. What business owner will get by implementing this? And business language is how you can increase sales by 10%, how you will get the money from the SEO efforts, all business-related terms. And that is always how to get customers, how to get new customers, how to retain customers, how to increase sales, how to increase revenue. Because business owners are really thinking in these terms. They are not thinking about SEO rankings, algorithms. So we are sharing the SEO knowledge, which is process what we are doing for them, and we are not sharing the result, what they will get.
Okay, so I'm just wondering how an SEO can go about producing content for a platform like LinkedIn, share their knowledge, but also position it in a manner that's right for business leaders. So if an SEO is to create a video and talk about how to increase your sales by 10% this month using maybe the power of AI search or some other example of an SEO activity that they could be working on, would it be okay for them to start the video by saying, okay, what I'm going to show you is how to increase your sales by 10% here. What we're doing now in SEO is doing this because a lot of businesses are doing this instead. But nowadays we need to be focusing more on brand. We need to be picked up by AI search engines. This will be the result. And we found that in what we do, the average uplift will be by 10% in sales. So we're talking about our SEO activities a little bit, but we're aligning it against the business goals. Is that what you're recommending?
Yeah, first, like what I'm seeing, and I'm doing this for almost 2 years, the most common mistakes that SEOs are thinking that like they will get something with one post, with a one video, with a one webinar. Nothing will have change, like by doing this by once, by doing it by weekly, like we need to show the value what we have. The value is behind these business terms that they will get. So of course, whenever we hear how to increase sale by 10%, SEOs get stuck, or I can't promise them anything. But how we are doing this, branding us as SEO experts who can help us, these, for example, SaaS company owners, is showing them the value, what they are doing, and what is wrong with they are doing. Like they are writing 10 articles per month, but these articles are not producing, with these blogs, they are not producing the customers. So we are presenting them like what can be wrong with these blogs, like what is about the messaging, what is about, like these kinds of things. And then we are matching this with the results they want, with new customers, with like new memberships, if it's that is some kind of tool. Always combining what is the result of the SEO effort. And then like by every post, by every video, we are providing that value, what they will get by working with us. Like that is how we are sharing the value. Of course, that is not happening in one post, not 1 month. We need that consistency that we are showing like, hey, this is what I know, and this is what you will get as a business owner. But not just like sharing SEO knowledge, like SEO terms, the process, like.
Okay, so that's wonderful in terms of having one-on-one conversations with prospective customers. But I'm still thinking about marketing, about an SEO writing about what they do and positioning that more for business leaders. Is it okay within that content, again, maybe using that LinkedIn example of using case studies, maybe of businesses that they're not actively working in, and to say, look, this company is writing blog posts on this particular topic and it's not ranking well. This is the kind of traffic it's probably bringing in. What they should be doing is doing this instead. Is that okay to actually use someone else as an example, even if they're not a client?
Yeah, like if you have that luck that you can share the case study, like that's perfect. What I'm seeing usually SEOs can't share their case studies, or even they are currently working for that client, or client doesn't want to allow them, or, like they are currently working in agencies, they are full-time. So if you have case study, perfect, like that's perfect. You can use it, you can share it, share what you have done, share the business results that you have gained, perfect. What I'm seeing in the market is usually that like SEOs can't, and they don't have the case studies to show. So how to provide the value when we don't have the case study is the most common challenge. Like when you have a case study, perfect, but usually you don't have the case study. So that is how we are building ourselves as SEO experts who knows like what they are doing by branding themselves. And we are branding ourselves by sharing the value to connecting SEO and business matching. Of course, that all our patterns and insecurities will come up, like, oh, I can't promise client like that they will get these results, money, sales, and like these kinds of things. But if you are going towards that SEO freelancer market, that another SaaS company will give you like 3,000, you need to provide the value. Otherwise, we will just get stuck in our full times next 20 years, like that is a moment to really become a new person who is SEO freelancer, who is SEO business owner. You need to gain a new skills to be the person who can share these kinds of things, and that you are not getting uncomfortable with these kinds of like mindset things, like because the new person to get the client is having a new skills that you currently don't have.
So if an SEO consultant isn't going to find the right kind of client at SEO conferences, how do they identify what conferences they should be attending, and what do they need to do when attending these new events?
Especially when you are starting to get your first clients and like you are nobody in the market, you don't have brand behind yourself. Instead of just like sharing SEO knowledge, going to SEO events and like meeting other SEO consultants in connections and events. First, if you really want to get your new client, go to the business events where they are like business owners. Because on the SEO events, they are another SEO consultants. Another SEO consultant is working for themselves. They are working full time. We are thinking that some SEO agency owner will give us, like some project. And like everybody is just waiting for us that we go to these events. But like this is not happening when you are nobody. When you have your brand and you go to conference, that is like, like people are recognizing and they want to talk with you. But if you're nobody, and like we are nobody, we are just like starting that SEO freelancing journey, even we are full-time SEOs for a few years, like still we are not a brand on the market that like, hey, this is like specialization for plus company, like, so instead of going to SEO events, it's much more easier to go to the business event where you are meeting other business owner and you are getting connections. Like nobody will give you the job just like when they are meeting you. But if you have a good connection with them, like if you share some value that how you can help their companies, like in this conversation, if you have time, like because these business owners are totally in different mindset than we are, then the next step would be, like connecting on LinkedIn so that business owner can see us every week that we are providing some value and that they can see us as someone who can help them. Because in that way, we are not chasing people. Whenever we are chasing people, of course, that answer is no, because we got in that instant rejection, oh, this guy wants to sell something. So my way of approaching and getting high-paying clients is branding ourselves on LinkedIn or any other platform to actually providing the value, and then other SEO business owners on other companies can see us as someone who can help them. In that way, you are getting the invite, so we are not chasing them, they are coming to us.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so I can understand that it's essential to go to the right conferences, to talk in business language, to make connections and have people want to have conversations with you about how you can help them. What about your offer? Because I think that SEOs can do so many different things. Yeah, SEOs can be highly technical, and there are so many different ways to SEO to drive traffic to a website, improve brand awareness, improve the technical health of a website. I think that SEOs can often get lost in the many different things that they can do. They're not specific enough in terms of what's unique about them, what their offer is. So how does an SEO define their offer, and what offers are more likely to resonate with businesses in 2026?
What I'm always suggesting my clients is actually that offer will be connected with your experience, like the niche that you have been mostly working on, the niche that can pay you, like, so that is where are some directions like where we need to, and like specialization and having high paying clients definitely require that these people can pay you. So in 2026, definitely specialization will go if you really want to get like these high paying clients, because they don't want to work with some people who are just like general SEO consultants. They really want to work with you if you had specific knowledge about specific industry. That's the first thing. The second thing is when it comes to offer and when it comes to high paying clients, I think we are so struggling with presenting our software as a cheap SEO offered and doing, like some task, some small projects. But if we really want to have high-paying clients, and I'm always suggesting starting with a high-paying client that is paying you at least 2,000 to 3,000 euros, just then you are focusing your offer on their pain point. We constantly starting like what we know, but let's start from like what the SEO client need, and then see like if we can provide it or we need to get additional support, because the only thing that these SEO clients will pay us if we can get result they want. And then our offer is regarding, okay, if I'm not a copywriter, then I will get another copywriter, but my client will get result that they want. And we need to ask more questions like our clients, what is about their points, the results that they are solving. And then when we are creating the offer, not first my offer and then, whatever client is saying, like we will say like yes or no, and we will send the proposal. And we send the proposal, and that is reason like why 90% of my clients that came before me, like they are just sending proposal and they are not getting the answers. Why? Because we didn't ask specific questions about pain points and results and then created the offer. So that is like the thing. Not offer is not the first. First, like what is the problem that we are trying to solve and the results, and then we will create like what needs to be done to get that.
Adrijana, what's the key takeaway from the tip you shared today?
Definitely, if you really want to go from the full-time to SEO freelancing and get your own SEO clients, you need to start thinking differently, because the skills that you already have are not enough for the business journey that you're starting.
Adrijana Vujadin is an SEO mindset coach at AV Coaching. Find out more over at adrianavujadin.com. Adrijana, thanks so much for being part of SEO in 2026.
Thank you for having me, and always good to talk with you.
I've been your host, David Bain. Get your copy of SEO in 2026, the book, over at SEOin2026.com.